Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Sunday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. Syracuse pummels the Huskies, cruising to a dominant 48-14 victory for the first road game of the season. You'll hear from us, and we'll hear from you, of course, in fan feedback. But as always, first, let's hear what Coach had to say in Connecticut after the win.
And I know that's a good club. I know Coach Moore is going to they're going to be better. UConn's going to be better, and they're going to get back to where they were. And Coach Moore's a fantastic coach. I just didn't want to get caught, and I didn't want to get trapped. And the kids listened. You know, they just didn't hear me talking. They listened, and they went out and played a clean game. I look at the penalties from last week compared to the penalties from this week, and that tells me that they were focused. And then there's some tough cats out there. I mean, your guy's tailback's a fantastic runner. The offensive line, the UConn's offensive line was pushing us around, and it was an extremely physical game. But our guys, they didn't pack it in. They hit back, and it was a touch and go contest for a while. And then finally, luckily, we got away a little bit. I know this is a little bit longer, but that was. I'm interested to see what the training room is going to look like, because I think it was an extremely physical game.
Coach, you scored on your first 7 possessions. Can you just talk about the efficiency of your offense tonight?
It sure didn't feel that way. We scored on the first 7. You're going to tell me you're sure, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's extremely efficient, and really excited about that. And it just seemed like it was a game for a long period of time, and we had to keep playing until a certain spot in the fourth quarter where we felt like we could put some other guys in there. But I thought it was a very competitive contest for the most part. I thought that Schrader does a nice job of picking and choosing his targets. He's been extremely accurate this year, and his throwing percentages have been extremely high. We had some drops the first game, and I know that we had less drops this game. But for the most part, I think he's been good. And then, anytime you have a quarterback with legs, UConn has a quarterback with legs. Anytime you have a quarterback with legs, every once in a while you may get that sack that's minus 20 or minus 25 with them running around. But a whole bunch of times you get a 3rd and 6 or a 3rd and 8 where everybody's covered, and you end up getting a first down just because the guy can run a little bit. And I think we saw that all day on TV if you were watching the games before we got here. Quarterbacks getting out of the pockets and getting first downs with their legs. I just think that that's where a lot of people are moving to now. We still like the traditional quarterbacks because we still have a traditional offense. But if a quarterback does have legs, it's always an advantage.
You held UConn to 202 total yards. And can you talk about just the defensive effort and then specifically Marlowe Wax's hit in that first drive of the third quarter to kind of hit the game?
Yeah, Marlowe's a really good player. You see him on the kickoff return? When he came in, he was like his freshman year, we thought we didn't know who was better out of him and Tucker. Now, he's gained a lot of weight since then to play linebacker, but he's a really amazing athlete. And I was excited to see him on the kickoff return. I was disappointed that he didn't do more. But he's a really, really good player. We're lucky to have him.
Gaston, Jackson, and Pena all had over 40 receiving yards today. Do you feel like there's anyone in this receiving group who's starting to distinguish themselves or stand out at all, or is it still pretty even?
I think it's still pretty even, and it's all about the relationship with the quarterback. Whoever has the best relationship with the quarterback, those numbers will start to skew one way or another. But it has to do with who he likes. We can call plays and stuff, but if he starts getting that okey doke type feeling with one that really get a feeling for him, that's the guy that's going to take off. Okay, so you guys are shaking your head.
3 field goals and 10 extra points.
Has he missed?
No.
See, he's gone back to his old way of training, his old way of doing everything, back to his freshman year. And I told Andre, I said, you got to get back to what got you here. get back to what got you here. And he's gone all the way back to the roots. And I just like everything about him right now. I think he's going to have an amazing year.
Sack into the fumble recovery play.
Really was just a great call by Coach White. It was a good blitz, and I seen it open. I just went for it and made the play. I wish it would have been a touchdown, but it's all good. We got a W.
Is there anyone that you find yourself gravitating towards in the receiving corps?
Courtney Jackson's one, Devon Cooper, Trevor. Bringing those outside guys along. I got a lot of faith in Damian and trust in Damian, and especially Zay too coming on this year. His role is starting to grow. So we got a lot of those are my main guys that we got right now, and we got another group, a little pod behind them that can step in and play too.
All right, Joe. So, right off the top, not a ton in there, which is why I added the players in at the end because it ties a couple of things together that Coach talked about. So, as Coach mentioned, there was a lot of upsets this weekend heading into the primetime game. We all watched what Marshall did to Notre Dame, and the guys are watching this, and anything can happen, and you got to prepare yourself and not let that kind of stuff get in your head. And they went out there and executed. Pretty physical game. I agree with Coach. And we got out of there seemingly without any injuries that I've heard of or know of. So that's a plus. But there was some hard hits. There was some hard hitting, and it was a physical game. Like Coach mentioned, UConn was a little bit more prepared for Schrader, I think, in some aspects than even Louisville was. So
Schrader or Tucker?
Both.
Well, definitely Tucker. You can tell that was their game plan, right?
Yes. Well, you look at, we'll get into it, but yeah, I would say both.
Yeah, and just to add on to a couple more, Appalachian State beat Texas A&M, who's number 6 in the country, after they probably should have beat North Carolina last week as well. Right. And, it's definitely some really close games. West Virginia lost to Kansas, and Kansas is usually bottom of the barrel, Power 5, and you see some Power 5 teams struggling with D1 AA schools.
Alabama
almost lost to Texas, right? Yeah, so it's a new season. Teams aren't the same they were last year, and it's truth for us, and it's obviously truth for other people as well. So
yeah, really good football all around yesterday. If you weren't watching, you missed it. With that said, scoring on the first 7 drives for Syracuse. And, dude, that was wild, okay? And all 5 of the first half possessions resulted in points. So you had, for the first half, you had a touchdown, a field goal, a touchdown, a field goal, and a touchdown to end the half. And then they scored 2 touchdowns in the first 2 possessions and only 1 punt the entire time that Schrader was on the field. So
yeah, I was going to say they ended up with 2, but I believe that we've only punted 5 times in 2 games, which is just out of the ordinary. I think we had our first 3 and out, I think somewhere in the second half yesterday. So we're just playing. That was
not under Schrader though, but yes,
super efficient.
Right,
just super efficient, putting up points, and also run the clock too. Well, you see, we run down the clock too. We take a lot of time on some of these, drives, and we did it to Louisville, and you got to give credit for UConn too, because UConn didn't allow a lot of big running plays like that. But those possessions and those scores where you're going the length of the field and a 9 to 15 play drive, it's killing. It's taking a third of the quarter up. So it all works out, helps the defense. So this is 79 points in 2 games against D1 schools. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the ability to sustain drives. And you thought maybe, at least I did in the beginning of the game, as it were going up 17 points to start, right? And thinking, man, we just killed the clock on them for the first few possessions. Like, no way they're going to be able to hang. This defense is going to be able to hang. And they did. At the end of the day, they really didn't. But they did give Schrader some fits. He ended up going 20 for 23. Super efficient again, 287 yards, a career high for him. Efficient, calculated. He only had 24 yards rushing, 2 TDs, obviously some goal line stuff there. And it's not so much what he does sometimes as what he's capable of as far as Schrader's legs go. So
that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, they did a good job with him, but you can't contain everything. We talked about that in sometime last week after the Louisville game or for the preview for UConn about if Schrader's going to be this much more improved throwing the ball, you can't game plan for everything. There's no way that you can do everything. Somewhere, somehow, they're going to get over on you between what Tucker can do and what Schrader can do. And they contained for the most part, but, at the end of the day, Tucker did his thing a little bit, but Schrader with the arm, responsible for 5 touchdowns, just a tremendous game.
So. I mean, that's what it is. I think that we saw the difference is that you can come in and you saw a team, UConn, they were physical and they knew they were like, we're going to make him pass. I mean, I know he got away with some runs and so did Tucker, but nothing too crazy. But they forced him to pass and beat them with the pass. And he did, unlike sometimes last year when we needed him to, and he came up short. In this type of situation, he's starting to prove that he can. Yeah, so Sean Tucker had a long run of 13, and Garrett Schrader had a long of 12, and he only had 24 yards. So, but you saw it. When they went to zone, Garrett Schrader stayed in the pocket and found the guy in the open hole, right? And then when they went to man, that was when you saw DeMarcus Adams and Damian Alford just beat guys deep, and he threw great balls there where big guys went up and they caught the ball for touchdowns. So, we're not just one-dimensional this year so far.
And that's the thing. I didn't see. I mean, could be wrong. There was a couple short passes to start the game. One I specifically remember to Tucker, but I don't remember any drops. I'm not saying there weren't any, but I don't remember any. So I only counted 3 last game. But when it comes down to it,
you only had 3 incompletions.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Well, coach is like, I think there was less drops. So I don't know if there were. Yeah, there was less. That's true.
I mean, he had more. Yeah, there was more drops last game than he had incompletions this game.
Yes. Yeah. Basically.
So, I mean, and again, like we can sit here and we can play the speculation game of if he was injured last year, right? But I don't. One way or another, as long as he stays the way that he is, right? I mean, he looks just calm in the pocket. The offensive line looked a lot better. Not as many penalties whatsoever, and Schrader is staying in the pocket a little bit longer and giving his guys chances to get open, and a lot of them are getting open, and you can just tell that they're spreading it around. And we had a game plan against Louisville, and UConn came in and basically was like, we're going to play our game plan to stop whatever they just did to Louisville, and then we just started doing different things that worked against them that we didn't need to do against Louisville. And it worked. Yep.
And we're going in order here, the montage. So we'll hit back up on Schrader one more time. But Marlo Wax becoming a special player. This kid come in. We didn't know if he was going to play running back, if he was going to play linebacker. We had no idea, right? The dude bulks up. He's playing linebacker. Okay. 21-yard kick return. He had 2 tackles, so he led the team in tackles against Louisville with 10. Right. 2 tackles last night, but 1 a sack, forced fumble. The awareness to pick the thing up. If his knee was an inch higher than it was when he picked the damn thing up, it'd have been a sack, scoop, and score. I mean, as close as that was, it doesn't take away from the fact of how brilliant that defensive play was for a guy we didn't know if he was going to be playing running back at one point coming in to play for Syracuse. So just awesome for Wax, and just going to be a special player. And it just is a testament to how this team is going to grow on defense. It's just all of these guys stepping up. And, I mean, just real quick, the special teams, just in general, Michael Jones with the special teams robbery, Deshaun Harrison, who would just like got a freaking ball, the straight pickpocketed from him and take it to the house by Michael Jones, doing those things. And just the special teams in general, just, I mean, amazing. So many different guys seem to be stepping up this year in different situations, and it's just brilliant to see. I mean, even McDonald, I mean, he had a tackle for loss, and I think he had 4 altogether, if I'm not mistaken. So coming in for Thompson here and there. And I saw Malcolm Falk too.
Falk.
Yeah.
Yep. He got a tackle in the game when he was in there. Yeah. So once you saw Carlos Del Rio Wilson and all those guys come in, it was nice to see. It was nice to see because we haven't had a game
to be able to do that. Yeah.
You know, especially, I mean, in the last however many years, right? Since Dungy, I mean, unless we're playing our D1 AA opponent, we haven't had a game where we can just have our backups come in and just do stuff like that. And as far as Marlo Wax goes, I mean, I remember when we, talk, and this is the thing, I know you don't like talking about recruiting, when we go through and we do the recruits and let's see what happens when they get here and da-da-da-da. But you have to admit that it's pretty fun when we talk about the recruits and what some, recruits and coaches and all that stuff have to say about the guy. And then when he actually 2 or 3 years later ends up turning into a star on the team and you can remember talking about him.
Absolutely.
That's fun, right?
Yeah, it is fun. I mean, we got to talk to Malcolm Falk on the show.
Right.
So
and I remember talking about Marlo Wax and talking about I thought his name was, I loved his name. I thought great football name. Yeah. And on top of that, you hear the coordinators, in the preseason talking about they're fighting over which side of the ball they want him to play. And I think this game is probably the game of his career that has showed us why that was,
just
with the kick return and with him picking and scooping and scoring. You saw the speed. The last 2 or 3 years, he's been gaining weight to be a linebacker. He wouldn't be like his size if he was a running back, but you can still see the running back ability. So I see why they did it. And he is quickly turning into one of my favorite players on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one too, that we talked about because he's a Beach Boy, and I love the Beach Boys, and they, if they can play for my college team, it makes it that much more special. So Anwar Sparrow, dude, he had one of the biggest pops of the game. Dude, straight out of Virginia Beach. I think he went to Salem High School, but he, this isn't a guy whose name I heard until recruiting. So just a kind of a surprise for me when I saw that he was being recruited by Syracuse. But awesome for those young guys. True freshmen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Anwar Sparrow?
Yeah.
No.
He's
been
redshirt?
around for a couple years. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. So, this doesn't feel like it was that long ago when we talked about him, to be honest with you.
No, that's not. I think he's either a redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore. So, he's still got 2 or 3 more years to go. So,
anyways, a huge hit laid by him, and he got the Virginia Beach shout out on CBNSN. So really cool.
Yep.
And we hit on Schrader's stats, but 9 different receivers by the time he was pulled at the beginning of the fourth quarter. He just not discriminating on the field. He's just going through his progressions. He's finding the open guy. I don't know, even with Dungy, if he was ever that efficient, right? I mean, it's been quite some time, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know it's UConn, and I understand that, but it was calculated, man. I mean, I keep saying that word because that's just how I felt that game was last night. There was never a doubt. Everybody was calm. There were some moments where you thought, that their running back, was it Carter?
Yeah.
There was a few times where I'm like, man, what is going on? That first touchdown drive that they scored, I was like, what is going on? They never faltered, and they just stuck to the game plan and executed just on both sides of the ball. It was brilliant. So,
yeah, that goes to coaching. I think it's a situation where after the first 2 games, you can see that Anaya and Beck, they come up with and coach Bia Babers, they come up with a game plan and they stick to it, but they got a good plan. And it works. And you see the special teams play. I mean, you don't have to see as much special teams because we're not punting as much. But either way, Schmidt hasn't missed a kick yet, whether it be field goal or PAT, as what Coach alluded to. This Von Marburg looks like he's going to average somewhere between a 42 and 45 yards.
Maybe, hopefully by the end of the year.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can just tell that we have coaches that know a little bit better of what they're doing, or they're more confident, and it just looks. You can just tell. You can just tell because it comes off on the field, off of the players. Because, like you said, the players feel more confident in everything. So, when coaches know what they're doing, and they're confident, and they can put their players into a better position to win, then those players are going to naturally just exude more confidence and most of the time play better because of that. So, and it's just the one thing to me that just, it shows. It pops to me.
It's discipline, and you can see it. And speaking of discipline, far less penalties on the offensive side of the ball. Gotta imagine some of that was nerves, and that's kind of what I chalked it up to. It's still unacceptable, but I kind of chalked it up to nerves a little bit. So,
I guess they were saying, like you said, there was some claims that there were some Louisville guys down there in the defensive line talking a little bit.
Yeah. One more thing on Schrader, real quick. He was asked, and I put it in there because coach was asked, and he kind of deferred to Schrader. So when the student sat down, he was asked, who's his favorite receiver. Well, he names 5 of them. so it's just that's awesome because they all and he mentioned Isaiah Jones too, who's he caught one pass.
A big pass.
Yeah, he did. But it just goes to show that the work that was put in the offseason to get Garrett Schrader where he is now, and the familiarity that he got to have with these receivers during this offseason, being the number 1 quarterback coming into this year, was huge for him. And sometimes it takes a year, especially when you're coming in and not knowing what your future is, like it was last year. So just excellent. I mean, the guy's got, we worried so much about wide receivers. It was like one of the unknowns besides kind of the offensive line stuff again.
Yeah.
And we wondered, well, what's the receiving core going to be like? And is anybody going to step up? Well, they're all stepping up, it seems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and to me, like I said, again, I'm just going to go back to the coaching, because when you look at it, it's like, okay, we're returning 4 out of our 5 offensive linemen. And Service, he had some good games. He was definitely experienced, and he definitely could go all over the line. But we also had young guys, true freshmen, that came in last year and held their own. So we knew that we had a little bit of depth there and a lot of returning experience, and then you add in the fact that we had just replaced our offensive line coach last year, right? So to me, it was a shoo-in that our offensive line was going to get better, especially with Bergeron being an NFL prospect. And then we go and we get a new receivers coach. We actually get a quarterback coach, and then on top of that, an offensive coordinator. Like, they were going to fix that. They were going to fix the receiving core, and they were going to coach and teach them up better. And then I think it also goes to Garrett Schrader as being just a leader, because he knew that it was going to be his team.
Huge.
He knew it was going to be his room. And I think that him and the receivers worked their butts off this offseason to get on the same page and to work on that passing game, because they know how much that passing game hamstrung them last year.
And just knowing what's on the line, and how much everybody, when we talk about Schrader and all of his receivers, how much they have to prove to everybody, and they're proving it, and they're doing a freaking awesome job. You mentioned Schmidt, just real quick. Coach did mention, look, this is a guy who like basically was about to quit the program. And then somehow, some way, I think probably with the coaching changes and things, not having a special teams coach and all this stuff, I think he was re-recruited to come back and play. I don't know. I don't know where his head was, kind of making that decision, or what the deal was last year as far as that goes. But it doesn't matter. Coach mentioned he's getting back into his routine, his old school way of back, when he was a freshman, and being able to just dunk field goals and extra points like nobody's business. So good to see. Obviously, we need a guy like Schmidt. It was a little tough last year. There was some really difficult to watch special teams play. I'm just going to blanket it at that.
Yeah, we don't need to get into specifics.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good to see all of that on the mend. I mean, just awesome. Joe, any final thoughts on the game before we hear from the crowd.
A couple final thoughts. Again, I think it goes a little bit back to some of the being able to see some of the young guys. I liked what I saw from Carlos Del Rio Wilson.
Yeah, not bad.
I don't think that this is a situation where, like normal, where we don't have that backup to come in. I don't think he's going to push Schrader this year, but I'm for some reason just not really afraid if he has to come in to save the day. I think he made some good calls. He made some good throws. CJ Hayes dropped that one right through his hands when Del Rio Wilson came in. That probably that would have been a really, really big play. Saw Dan Villari, the quarterback that came over from Michigan, that changed over to receiver / tight end, and he caught a 22-yarder when Del Rio Wilson was in there.
It was the only catch. Yeah, it was his only completion, I think.
Yeah, but it's just like you said, all around. I mean, like just the passing game, to see how efficient he is, Schrader is, and to see a team try so hard to take away the running game. And you look down the line, like Devon Cooper had big catches, Courtney Jackson, Pena, Gadsden had big catches for first downs. And then you look at, Damian Alford, he only caught one catch, 47-yard touchdown. DeMarcus Adams, he only caught one catch, 39-yard touchdown, right? Isaiah Jones only had one catch. It was third and 20-something, and he caught a ball for a first down to keep a drive going, in which I think they scored. So it's not like any of these guys are killing it and getting 100 yards and getting a bunch of targets, but it's being spread out well. They're making clutch catches when they need to. The drops got better from last week. And 10 for 10 this year in the red zone.
Well, that's excellent. Yeah.
So that's just our offensive efficiency is just through the roof right now. We only scored over 40 points 6 times since 2019. So it's nice to see, and I think that it might happen a couple more times this year.
All right, it's time to hear from you.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, you guys know what to do. At the end of every game, you go to the socials, and I will ask you for your thoughts on said game, and you leave them. I was a little bit late last night doing it because I had forgot. So it was only a couple minutes, but it took a minute for it to start accumulating some responses. So we will start. Hold on a second here. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and start with the Twitter. And let's take, why not? At Oil Cuse. Passing attack was way better than last year. So Sean and Joe and Tyler, I remember y'all laughing at an easy buy-seller hold for Cuse to reach 3,500 passing yards this year. You only need to average 270 a game in a 13-game year to hit that number. What do you think now? So we're going to revisit a buy-seller hold. And look, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's possible, I suppose, at this point. So wouldn't it be nice if we were all left with egg on our face, Joe? But right? But I would still hold, Pat, our buddy, because we got some tough games coming up, and this schedule doesn't get much easier. And I just feel like I would keep my powder dry on that. Right? Passing attack is way better, no doubt. I buy that all day.
Yeah, but it's not like it's better because of how impressive their rushing game is, right? I mean, we had a chance. We were right there last year to get to a bowl game, 5-7. I mean, to have that rushing attack, but your passing attack be so putrid that you can't even get to a bowl game. I know we had a hard schedule, ACC, whatever, but the running game's still there. It's not going to be a situation where they're just going to start airing it out. They're gonna pass their way into defenses not putting 8 in the box to stop Tucker, and so it's going to be a chess game back and forth. And I see Schrader living between 250 and 300 yards a game pretty much all year because they're going to run the ball 30, 40 times a game easily between Schrader and Tucker.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. At Baptized by Fire 7. I didn't have the game on TV in my area, so this is just off listening to the radio. As much as the offense looked good, I'm a little concerned about our run D. Unless this kid from UConn is a real deal, we are going to see better O-lines and running backs in the future, but ecstatic we won. I mean, he seems like he's a decent running back. So, but he only had, I mean, he ripped one for 14 yards. And he only totaled 17 yards, or 71 yards. It was one series where he really was just kind of pounding it, and Syracuse was taking it. So I'm not going to let that bother me at all. And maybe it's from listening to it on the radio, because it's a little bit more frustrating to listen to a game on the radio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're not really watching, seeing what the hell is going on, and you're anticipating how the play is going to end instead of being able to watch it. But I will say this, in that I can't watch this Raiders game right now. I can tell you that much. I'll say this.
Difference between radio and TV?
Eventually. Difference between radio and TV. But no, I was going to say, I didn't realize so many people were having trouble getting the game. If I would have known that, I would have probably streamed it. And that's my fault. But usually people will kind of give me a heads up on that they're not going to be able to get the game. Can we stream it? And then, I'll ask some people that we know from Twitter and stuff if it's an issue, and we'll stream it. So, but no one said anything, so we didn't. But I did see a couple people having issues. But it takes a minute to set up. So when I see it, halfway through the game already, I'm just like, I'm not going there. If not, now win 84. Defense got sloppy, but made up for it. Schrader equals Josh Allen. Dude is a beast. Throwing is so much better. Tucker silently got greater than 100 yards. I love the spread between receivers. Go Cuse. I would hold on the Josh Allen reference. I like it, but I would hold. But Schrader has a lot going on, and he has a lot of good things going on. And he's a problem, without a doubt. He's a problem because of his size, and now because if he seemingly can throw the ball with accuracy, and decision-making has been pretty damn good so far. And just he dropped a couple right in the basket, man, last night. And they were not, I wouldn't say, well, they were pretty well, the defense was good. I thought defense was good. He put it where only his receiver could get it. And it doesn't matter who you're playing if you can do that and drop it in there and your receiver can catch it. It's just one of those things that is, you either got it or you don't. And he did it more than once. So, it doesn't matter who you're playing if you can do that. And you couple that with his running ability and his determination and his power. I mean, it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we knew that he had the physical attributes, right, last year. I think the only question was the arm, right? The accuracy of the arm, the throw and what it looked like, right, and all his techniques and, just whatever. But this year, too, I feel like you can see that he looks like he's starting to pick it up more mentally as well. He's making the right plays. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. He knows how to read these defenses and know what's going to be open and available, like you said, going down his progressions and looking at all the receivers, whether it was zone or man, he was doing great, And it's easy to talk about offense and everything like that. And I know we've been all pretty much offense all over the place so far. But, yeah, I mean, when you're watching the game, you don't really think that it's going to be, because it was kind of, slow a little bit. I mean, I know that we played it and everything. I mean, we were winning and we were scoring, but there wasn't a lot of huge plays, especially early, right? So you take away a couple pass plays and stuff. There was a lot of running, UConn running, having a bunch of tight ends, and looked like 10 guys on the line trying to block to run the ball and everything. But like what he said, I mean, Sean Tucker, I didn't know he had 100 yards, and all of a sudden they flashed it on the screen, and I was like, what the? He broke like one double-digit run, I didn't think. But when you start adding them all up, he was pushing forward for 3, 4, 5 yards, right?
It was just consistency, man. It was just over and over and over and over again.
Right, but then when I was watching UConn, it felt like the other running back had a lot more yards than he did, right? He was like second in the country or something like that in rushing. I didn't know that we held them under 100 yards. We held their whole team overall 97. Under 100 yards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're, I think, 15th in the country as far as rushing offense. and our defense did that. We had one bad play, I think. I mean, to me, it looks like, if you give up, we did it to Louisville. We gave up the one run for a touchdown, gave up a 28-yard touchdown. 3
touchdowns that have been scored against us have all been long plays. There's never been like a goal line situation or just like a hop, skip, and a jump into the end zone or anything like that. They've all been breakout plays.
Right. Yeah. And 2 of them have been the runs. And then yesterday, I think that if Barron just runs and attacks his outside shoulder and doesn't let him get outside, then I think that screenplay goes for none. But, you're looking at teams that team they couldn't throw it down the field. They had to run it or do little screens and stuff like that. So the only thing, gives our defense a little bit to look at some tape so that we can
fix it.
Fix that up, because we don't need, more competent and competitive teams knowing how to beat us or being able to use those wide receiver screens to create big plays if we're going to be over aggressive.
And at the end of the day, to just piggyback on what Dominic said about, questioning the run D. Syracuse held them, to 202 yards for the whole game, something like that? Or was it even below 200? But
it was 202.
Okay,
total yards.
All right, so it was just over 200 yards for the entire game, for the whole team. That's just phenomenal. This is Division I football. I don't care who you're playing. That's a phenomenal thing. And I don't know what that one drive was, but almost a third of it, if not more, was on the one first scoring drive that UConn had. So
right
when they got the touchdown. At Cuse Waterboy, did Schrader Tucker become the most dangerous QB running back combo in college football? The streets say yes. Amazing 27 carries for 112 yards and a TD is pedestrian by Tucker standards. And the defense, mind blown. Let's pack the dome next Saturday and make it a horror show for Purdue. Yes, absolutely. Can't wait to see if we can get 40 plus in there for the Purdue game. If you're not excited now, then I don't know what will get you there. At Drew Cuse, I'm enjoying this one. Still proceeding with cautious optimism. Purdue is in the Dome next week. Should be a good test. Let's go. Absolutely. And don't want to speak too much on Purdue because that'll be later this week. But it's exciting to be able to go into a game that could be difficult, but you still feel like you have a chance. So you're saying there's a chance, because of just the way that you've been playing, instead of going in there with a negative ass attitude, and because you've been beat up so many times and you're just tired of losing. But anything can happen now. So, look, Notre Dame, all of a sudden, Notre Dame does not scare me at all. You?
It's still Notre Dame.
I know,
bro,
but they don't scare me, bro. I'm talking about being scared. Clemson still scares me a little bit.
If we play like this, barring injury, with the trajectory of how it's looked and how I can, obviously the longer you play and the longer you get into the season, you start knowing who can do what, so it gets a little bit easier to put in your personnel and call the plays. Traditionally, barring injury, you get better as the season goes on, and Notre Dame's 0-2. Ohio State was it was Ohio State, so I didn't really think about it. But Marshall, does Marshall beat Louisville? I don't know. So I think, we still got a bunch of weeks before we play Notre Dame. So as far as being afraid of them, I'll hold, because it's still Notre Dame. They've still been recruiting at a very high level. A guy's still got Brian Kelly's guys. And, there's going to be a lot more that we're going to know when it comes down to the week that we play Notre Dame. But do they look as scary as number 5 in the beginning of the season, right in the middle of, a crazy schedule? No.
And is Buckner injured? That looked like a clavicle to me. I don't know if anyone's heard anything on that, but it looked like collarbone.
Nah, you're gonna have to talk to the doctors.
Okay, there are none. Michael on the Facebook Massive improvement on the penalties. Absolutely, Michael. I totally agree. Good to see Coach resting players early in the fourth quarter. Yes, we talked about that. We said fourth quarter, Joe, by the way, just for the record. And our scores were extremely close. Extremely close. Again. Well, we weren't extremely close last week, but we were extremely close this week. A bunch of us were. Also, that defense swarms like honeybee colonies. So he presents this to us here. Buy, sell, or hold. Cuse sneaks into the top 25 if they beat Purdue by more than one score. Now, I have gone to Twitter with this, and I'll pull it up as a poll. I think it's probably over. I only set it for 5 hours to make sure we could get it all in before the show this afternoon. So 65 votes. I will let you take it, Joe, and then I'll use your information to conjugate a answer for myself, maybe. So go ahead.
So this is buy, sell, or hold.
Buy, sell, or hold. Syracuse will sneak into the top 25 if they beat Purdue by more than one score. So you gotta be 9 or more.
I'm gonna sell.
Okay, I would.
I'm selling based upon just the fact of, the respect that is shown to Syracuse. That's just it.
I would have to agree. I don't know if that's going to move the needle enough to sneak in the top 25. You'd like to think so, but maybe if you do that and then you knock off the next two, and then there's a week off and you see what else happens, and going into the NC State game, it would be interesting to see what it would be then.
That's what it's going to be.
Right. Yeah.
They would do that to sell the tickets. Isn't that what they did one year for Clemson? Or it was somebody. But it was a situation where I'd be willing to bet that until we're 5-0 or enough teams got to lose, if we end up being 5-0, I could see a situation where after the bye week, during the bye week, they move us up because we're playing NC State, make it a primetime game, call it a day.
Just have an ACC, freaking battle of the money.
Yeah, just something about having numbers next to a name when someone's surfing through the channel gets them to stop.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, this was a poll on Twitter, and 66% bought with a 23% hold and only 11% sell. So I thought that was interesting. I love those guys, by the way. If you give me some decent buy, sell, or holds to do during fan feedback, man, that's paying attention right there. That's doing it right. Doing it right. Okay. By the way, okay. I'll get to the by the way, maybe later. Our boy Zach on Facebook. He's a top fan. I was looking for here we go. There we go. Top fan. Yes. Thank him. Thank Zach. Everyone is going to say the obvious things about the game. And I can't believe I read this and I said, oh, someone else. This is going to be all over the place. Zach thinks he's the only one bringing this up. But I never saw it other than Zach. Therefore, I will say that if I never, ever have to hear those announcers for a game again, I will be one happy fan. But let me tell you, that Chris Tucker sure can run. So look, they started rough. I don't think they finished bad, though. Just be honest. Just be honest. They did call Sean Tucker Chris Tucker, the one dude, the field reporter, did at the beginning of the game, which was hilarious. And, those moments are based on, look, these are inexperienced people. And they're, finally got the spotlight on them. And it's kind of a big game because, Syracuse is making some noise. And, it's nerves, I think, a little bit. I thought I don't know who the girl is. I thought she cleaned up later on and did actually a pretty good job. But a lot of it was so goofy, man. And it was tough. It was tough, Joe. I don't know. I know your situation last night, so I don't know if you got to hear it. But no, you didn't?
No. I got to hear the second half. First half, I was watching it with about 10 children popping balloons around me. So, it was more or less just, I couldn't hear nothing. I was just watching it. Basically.
I'd rather take a beating behind a Walmart.
Well, depends on what Walmart.
Anyway, they were terrible, but they did get better as time went on. But it was some awkward moments there, and Zach is exactly right. I could go with not listening to that duo again myself.
And so who was it?
I don't
Christian
have
Fourier?
any idea. I have no idea.
Well, I'll tell you what. At the end of the day, I think that the female there was.
She's a basketball player.
She's a basketball player that I think normally called basketball.
So she did a good job, don't you think? Under those circumstances, I thought it was decent. That's why I gave her a handicap on that.
Yeah, I mean there was a couple things. I mean she called it the court a couple times, and but at the end of the day, it's and I think the other guy was an ex-football player. So I mean, it is what it is. Whenever they play on I don't want to say goofy, but like CBS Sports, whatever. I always expect just two randos that have no idea who our team is. So
yeah,
it's par for the course for Syracuse on CBS Sports Network.
Yeah, Mike on Facebook, surprised how much UConn D was able to get to Schrader. They did their homework, I suppose. Luckily, the pass is a solid threat this year. Glad Tucker got over 100. I was hoping for 150 plus. Excited for the noon kickoff in the Dome next week. Let's show up and be loud. Yeah, I mean, they got to Schrader a couple times. I think he was sacked twice, if I remember right. And yeah,
yep.
they did a decent job. And that's what I alluded to before. Don on Facebook, Schrader's accuracy is impressive this year on all of his throws, especially the deep balls. Much improved on the offensive line, giving them time to go through his progressions. Absolutely. Here's another thing, too. Not only accurate, but tight. And those balls aren't wobbling around, coming out looking like ducks or anything like that. They are coming out there nice.
Yep.
He had a couple low ones early. He got settled in, and then from there, it was just that was it. And he handled it. And just a nice throw. I don't know what else to say. It was a nice throw. Anthony on Facebook. Confidence, command, accuracy. What an absolute difference in Schrader. Tucker is picking up where he left off last season, and the D is fantastic. Oh, like Bill said below, which I'll read next. This is the most optimistic I've been about Syracuse football in a long time. Let's keep it going. So Bill also put in here, I'm getting ready for bed, so I'll keep it simple. It's funny he says that because he leaves the longest comment. Out of all the ones I've went through, this is the longest one. I'm the most optimistic about this program than I've been in a long time, and I'm an eternal optimist about Syracuse football. I can't comment enough about Schrader's improvement in commanding the offense, spreading the ball around, and his accuracy and efficiency. He's keeping defenses honest as they have to respect the pass, and now thus giving our Heisman candidate, Mr. Tucker, more room to operate. Just a different team and feel just a different team and feel than we have seen in a while. Let's keep it going, gentlemen. Yes. I mean, that's well said. Bill, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm going to say, if you weren't going to bed, what would you have wrote?
Yeah, holy cow. A chapter?
That's like one of those, what is it? Well, to make a long story short. Probably already told half the story, right?
Yeah.
So if it was short, you would already been done. Now I got to preface this right in the middle because I'm going to tell you the rest of it. I mean, but it's a great comment, and he's absolutely right. There's a lot of people that should be excited, and some people that just aren't into it as much. They need them to win, like we said, to put butts in the seats and to look good and put a good product on the field for them to be excited about it or even want to watch it. We do this podcast and, we're diehard. We're going to watch it anyway, right? We watched it through the 1-11. We watched it through the Greg Robinsons. I mean, and that's probably the way it's going to be until, the day we die. But at the end of the day, these type of seasons and the games that we've played the first two is just, it gets me more excited because I know how much more excited other people are going to be. I know that the casual fans probably going to go to Purdue next week.
The cynical ones. And dude, guys, before I did this podcast where I had to actually be a little bit more objective and think about what comes out of my mouth, I was that fan. I was that cynical fan that was just a jerk, right?
I brought you back. I brought you back.
Well, you can't get behind a microphone and just start spewing a bunch of crap. But there's some old Facebook posts and things like that from back in the day. I think Ryan Nassib quarterback comments and things like that. But I'm a little bit more objective, and I'm careful with what with how I frame things. And I think that those fans, it takes a lot for a fan like that to be in the dome and talking good and not just being cynical, because we're so used to, look, I grew up in the Donovan McNabb era and before that, so it's like, that was my childhood. Like, Syracuse was decent all the time.
They were, and it was exciting.
Yes,
right? And they put a product on the field that you could be proud of. You were going to bowl games almost every single year.
Don
until
McPherson
2002, 2004. That's what it was. And so the fans are there. The people are there. It's just, there's some fans that are they're gonna pony up and they're gonna pay to get their season tickets every year, no matter what, and they're gonna have that hope, right? Like Major League with those Indians fans, right? Like, they're going to have the hope. They're going to be up there in the nosebleeds with the drums being loud and the beers and all that crap. And then there's people that need to be convinced. Like, I'm not going to spend my money, especially nowadays, right? With the way that everything's priced.
Yeah, well, the food there, I'm sure, is ridiculous. Right? Yeah.
So, I mean, these people need to be convinced that they're spending their money on a product that they want to go see. And 2 weeks in, I feel like they've sold themselves to where there should be enough people in the Syracuse community to fill up that dome, because I feel like they've sold themselves as salesmen. They've proven themselves that this is a product worth coming and seeing. And Purdue, I mean, that was the one game but we talked about in the first 5 games that we definitely thought wasn't going to be a win. And now you're talking about, we opened up as a 2-point underdog and it's already got to 1 point. So you're talking about a pick'em game in Vegas right now.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, it's a possibility of going into the bye week at 5-0. I mean, say it doesn't sell 5-0, but we'll see. I don't want to get over my skis on that.
No, you can't. This is the game, though. This is the game.
It is.
If you're one of those cynical guys, and you're like, I'm going to spend my money when I want to, or when it's worth it. This is a game that's worth it, because this is a game that can seriously turn this whole ship of what people thought this was.
Yeah. Let's see. Robert, really impressed. Defense is swarming the ball. Schrader is incredible. I'm very excited. Joe P on Facebook, exactly what we needed. Glad we didn't overlook them and get surprised with a close game or loss. Good play calling, good defense. Keep it up, and let's go 3-0 next week. The play calling's been actually really good, and the coaching and the time clock management is not an issue at all. You see, I think last year we blamed a lot of that on Dino Babers, and he's going to hold it on his shoulders because he's the head coach, right? But we don't know what the hell was going on. The dude revamped the whole freaking coaching staff, right? So, there was a lot of questionable things that were done with timeouts and clock management last year. They were just we would sit here dumbfounded, like, why the hell would you do that? And we just don't know what was going on. It's totally different this year. I mean, it's just, it's crazy, right?
Well, and we always talked about it last year too. We talked about how when it comes to a passing game, it's more than just the quarterback. There's a lot of things. There's the receivers, there's the offensive line, there's the coaches, there's all that stuff, right? So, and we saw them kind of fix all of that. So, we had the Schrader haters out there last year. And now everyone's just Schrader, which is great. I want them to be on the court, on the back of the quarterback. I want them to like obviously the quarterback and not be calling for his head. But there's people that thought Carlos Del Rio Wilson was going to come in. There's people that and take his job. There was people that thought Villari had a chance.
Yeah, Villari was the one I heard the most. Yeah.
And then on top of that, there was a lot of people that didn't really. I mean, we talked about it. His passing wasn't great last year, but the running and we didn't. I thought that he did fine coming in. I thought it was better product than what DeVito put on the field. And now here we are. All the things around him changed, got better, gave him better coaches around him. Now all of a sudden everyone's like, Schrader. He might have had this the whole time, and it was everything else that got fixed. And we're never going to know. But all I know is I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, and speaking of DeVito, give credit where credit's due. I mean, they handled UVA, and I just think that what is it? UVA? They suck monkeypox ass. I don't know what they're not that good.
No. If there was an ACC game or team this year that
stinks.
Not this year, but this past week, they had a bad game. It was Virginia Tech the week before. Then Virginia Tech comes back and beats Boston College, who they didn't look good. But yeah, Virginia losing to Illinois, it wasn't a good look because DeVito didn't play great.
No, he didn't play great. He did enough though to. I mean, it was commanding. I mean, it was what was it, 27-7 or
24-7?
24-7.
Yeah, Virginia though fumbled. The kid, the punt returner, he tried to return it inside hit their own 10, and he made a guy miss, and the next guy came in, knocked the ball out, went into the end zone. So they had a special teams touchdown, and their defense held Brennan Armstrong to 7 points, which isn't easy. I mean, DeVito he did okay. I mean, he threw a touchdown. He had 192 yards, but I mean, he also had an interception and a fumble. So he's got a good team around him. Like you said, kudos to him. They beat Virginia.
The running back. I mean, the running game in Illinois is keeping that thing afloat.
They got a good running back, and then they also have, like I said, their defense and special teams came up huge this week against Virginia. So,
Kyle on Facebook got a time for a couple more, and then we're dipping out of here. It's been a while since the Cuse looked like a complete team, disciplined, minimalized penalties, solid open field tackling, and Schrader balling out. Hard to name what they have an issue with. Going to be a good season, Joe. I mean, what do they have an issue with? What if one thing, taking away the penalties, because they kind of showed me that was a one-off, at least for now, right? Mm-hmm. So besides that first game with Louisville on the offensive end with the false pre-snap penalties,
okay,
what do you think they need to improve on? Like, you had to pick one thing, you'd be like, man, if you get a little better here, this is money.
God,
it's tough, right?
I mean, it is tough. It really is, because I haven't really seen. I mean, there was drops and there was penalties, right? I think there were some guys. I mean, there were some angles. Really, that screen bothered me. That screen that they had for a touchdown bothered me. And I know that sometimes, when you're up a bunch, sometimes you're not as laser focused, and you might, make a mistake or something like that. But I really wanted to see Justin Barron make that play, and it just, I don't know why he fell for the juke in the inside, because if he goes back to the inside, he's just going back to his whole defense.
Right.
So I really, really wanted to see him. I know that there's going to be run plays that you break off a run play here or there. Maybe there's a hold that's missed, whatever. That's going to happen. But, I mean, that play kind of, and again, if it bothered me, it probably bothered the defensive coordinator, and it's going to get fixed, right? That can't happen. But God, I would say probably just the defensive line, man. And I'm not saying that they're even doing bad, because they were getting, they had all linemen.
I'd like to see more pressure, though.
I would like to see more pressure as far as passing goes. Purdue passes the ball a lot, and they're gonna pass the ball. So, and I'm not worried about, I can't go off of, because Purdue beat Indiana State this past week. I'm not going to go off of that.
No, 56-0 or something like that.
Yeah, it's 56-0. Old boy didn't play. Aiden O'Connell, who's their big quarterback there. He's good quarterback.
He's a Schrader-sized quarterback. He's a big kid.
Schrader-sized quarterback just doesn't run like Schrader. But I mean, when they played against Penn State week 1, he threw 30 for 60. They threw it 60 times, and then there was 20 carries. So this is a pass-heavy team, and I have all the confidence in the world in our defensive backs. But if a quarterback is allowed a certain amount of time, it doesn't really matter how good your corners are. They can't guard people for 5-6 seconds. So if it would be anything, then I would probably say that's the one thing that I want to see, because obviously, and I was going to bring up injuries too, because you did say that, or you said one thing that it's not something you can work on. It's just injuries could hurt us. Because I know that he alluded to, we have no issues right now, and he has confidence in all units of the team. But an injury can hurt that. And I'm not too sure whether or not Stephon Thompson's injury still hasn't came back to haunt us yet. And that's really just what I'm afraid of, because there are certain positions that we can't lose people. And I'm not saying that Stephon Thompson is one of them. But again, I'm not so sure that, because he was a good pass rusher, man, off of that linebacking squad. And playing against Purdue, they're going to come out and they're going to sling the ball, man. They're going to spread it out. And we got to be ready for that. And if we could get some pressure without having to blitz all the time from that defensive line, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay, finishing up here. Jake on Facebook making open field tackles like I haven't seen in years. A couple people alluded to that, so it's getting noticed. David on Facebook, Cuse is back and a force to be reckoned with. So that'll pretty much wrap up fan feedback. But
Garrett Williams keeps playing the way he's playing. He's gonna be a first round pick.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. It sucks too. It sucks when hey, look, after this year, there's going to be a situation where we're going to be missing some guys, right? And having to backfill positions
But that could have been this year.
It could have been this year, absolutely, with the running back or with the linebackers and stuff coming back and things like that. And Bergeron, I mean, obviously, he probably didn't have to come back. I mean, but it's always there though. So it's something that we deal with every year. But it just feels like in basketball and football, but this year it just feels like, man, this is the team. Like, if we're going to make some noise and we're going to do anything big or as big as we can do it, this is going to be the year that they need to do it. And that's how I feel. I'm sure a bunch of other fans feel the same way. It's just making the most out of what you got when you got it, because next year could be a totally different scenario.
Yeah, you got to, because, I mean, realistically, we know right now that there's at least 4 players that are going to be gone to the NFL next year, right? Yeah, that we're not going to get back, that still have eligibility, that have to be replaced. But the one good thing that I think, and especially in some of the positions, is that these guys they're leading by example. They're getting these kids to come up and, I mean, like, I don't know if you saw the one play, number 24, the corner there, Jeremiah Wilson. He had a great tackle anyway, open field tackle as a corner. And he's a true freshman. And he came in, and Garrett Williams was his sponsor, or whatever, the person that takes you for the visit, right? And this kid wanted to go do drills on the field and go work out on his college visit.
Yeah.
Like, these type of guys, and we always alluded to Babers and him going after, the captains of teams and those leaders and certain types of players. And that stuff is starting to, and this alludes to even what we talked about not having a coaching just carousel of just going through coaches and allowing him to create a culture to where you get guys there that are there long enough, then there becomes a culture where everyone you bring in, they just take place of the next guy when it comes to the leadership and the hard work and just, the way that they just go about college and football and all that stuff. And you can see it's cycling, because Garrett Williams was the young guy, right? When they had Malafawanu and Trill Williams and Cisco, right?
Yeah.
He was the freshman
noticed,
that was
though.
like,
yeah,
but he was noticed, but he was the young guy that was taken up from them, right? And he learned from Cisco and those guys on how to work and leadership and how to be a leader. And now here we are. And then here comes Deuce Chestnut. And then here comes Jeremiah Wilson. Like, you can see that it's freaking contagious when it works. And
that's what the recruiting is all about. Yeah.
So that's why I hate it. I hate that we're going to lose Tucker and Mikel Jones and Garrett Williams and Bergeron. And who knows, maybe somebody else if they have an outstanding, year. But I'm confident that we got guys behind us, and I see the youth movement. I see the young guys that are coming in, and they're playing, and they're holding their own. So, all in all, so far 2 games, I'm way more impressed than I ever thought I could have been after 2 games. Let's just put it that way. Coming into this game or to this season, it's just been unexpected, and it's got me going. It's got me pumped, and I know that if it's got me where I'm at right now, and you where you're at right now, and some of these other fans, then I know that these I don't want to say fair weather, but the guys, the fans that need to be talked into a little bit more, I know that they're thinking the same thing, because now we're 2-0. People are talking about us.
Yeah. Real quick, Matt, if you're still there, you want to get on, Matt, in the green room. By the way, you guys can get. All right, 1 second, Matt. Thank you. Look, go to the damn green room, or go to your app store, download this freaking Spotify Live. Okay, get in there, sign up, follow us at Cuse Militia. That's how you can get in there. I want to thank Michael, Matt, and David, who've been in there for all the fan feedback. And when we do our preview show, our picks and your picks will be in there, and you can give us those live. It's just super easy to use, and I have it hooked up right today. So, Matt, what's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, not bad. How you guys doing?
Great.
We're doing great.
Awesome. So Joe got into Purdue a little bit, and I just wanted to throw out there, Aiden O'Connell last year was a 72% completion percentage as a passer. Guy's a hell of a player. He really is. Quite turnover prone, though, and we got some defensive backs that can turn him over. So, I mean, you look at that, you look at how much they lost on their defense, both to graduation and to the draft. And their best defensive player, I believe, is out for a couple of weeks. I don't think they're going to be able to stop us. And I think we're going to have a hard time stopping Aiden O'Connell. But I think we can turn him over. And Purdue's also the worst run. And it's not close. Like, they do not run the ball. So we're going Aiden O'Connell versus how many? We have 3 All-Americans, freshman All-Americans in the defensive backfield, because Jahad Carter was a freshman All-American at Rivals. Deuce was a freshman All-American in, I believe it was Football Writers of America, 24/7. He had like 4 of them. I'm forgetting all of them. And Garrett Williams was also a freshman All-American. Our other freshman All-American got hurt. But, I mean, you look at guys that can just turn the ball over. We got them. So, and we just got to trick Aiden O'Connell into throwing into some tight windows and pick them off.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think this defense could do it. I just, like Joe said, if there was one thing he would fix, and I agree, would be getting more pressure on a quarterback, just not letting someone sit back there comfortably and go through their progressions and be able to make a decision. And like Joe said, I didn't know this, but Aiden O'Connell, not exactly a mobile guy. So, and he's big, and when you have a big guy that's not mobile, I mean, those guys just usually, fall. You just got to get there, though. So I don't know what the offensive line is like, but that would be where I think we need to focus. And I guess you got to imagine they'll be scheming for that. And I'm not too worried about the offense, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit worried. So, but we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, no, it's a Big Ten defense, and when you look at Purdue, I mean, this is going to be a different game because you're talking about, first off, we've had both of our first games, they were late games. We played at night, right? And second off, we played 2 Malik, he throws a better ball than Zion Turner from UConn, but for the most part, the 2 teams we played were predominantly run-heavy teams, right? So I know we got good D-backs, and I know that we got guys that are going to be able to make big plays, but Purdue's a spread it out and sling it kind of team. And if we don't have to worry about the run, then it's just a pass. So it's just a different type of team that we haven't seen this year, and we play at noon. So I just hope that the dome is packed, it's loud, and, people drink their coffee, get in there so they can start drinking their beers a little early, get loud. And I hope that they just fill that place up, because I do think, as to what Matt alluded to, like, if we turn him over, I mean, they're going to have some big plays, but if we can still run our offense the way we do and just kill the time, be efficient, and put points on the board, then these guys are going to be forced to make more and more passes and more big plays. And like he said, he's prone to trying to fit him in small windows and throwing interceptions. So if we get up on him, and
he needs to be rattled, dude. He needs to be
rattled, exactly.
Yeah.
But again, we haven't seen this type of quarterback and this type of offense yet this year.
Well, I trust these coaches more than I ever have as far as preparedness goes.
That's a true statement.
And I got to imagine they're going to have a plan for it. And with the defense, to Matt's point, you know, all the confidence in the world of them being able to just transform into what they need to be depending on who they're playing. They're like chameleons. So, Matt, thank you. Matt, a longtime listener and big time on the social medias. Appreciate you, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And if you guys want to come to the game, I got tickets for you.
There you go.
Damn.
Now he's making. Now he's putting pressure on us.
I was just talking last night.
You said it on the last show, dude. You said I may make the trip up to Purdue.
Yeah, and then we won last night, and I had a couple drinks, and I was telling my girl, like, hey, we don't got the kids next weekend. We can just go up.
Yeah. Well, hey,
it's still a game time decision right now.
Oh boy. All right. Well, Matt, we appreciate it. And if Joe gets with me early, I'll get with you. And if those tickets are still available, I'll work it out. All right. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
Everybody in the green room, we really, really, really thank all of you. It makes the show, getting people on the show constantly is huge for us. And it's always designed to be a show for fans by fans. And it's finally starting to really work.
Yeah.
It took a long freaking time, but it's finally starting to work. And,
No, but that's why we did that, right? This is why we did this. Like,
absolutely.
You lived in Virginia Beach. I lived in North Carolina, and we're like, dude, we have nobody to talk Syracuse sports. Like, I couldn't talk Syracuse, It's like I'm trying to talk about, the 2018 season, and people are like, yeah, didn't Donovan McNabb play there? Like,
dude, I'm lucky to get anybody talking about NCAA sports at all. That's my problem. A couple guys at work.
I mean, we literally started this so that we could get our fix of talking Syracuse sports. And I know that initially with you, it was just basketball. I got you kind of back brought you back from the dark side, and we started talking football. But that's what we want. And like this green room and Spotify, all that stuff, like we want to talk to fans. We want to, like when I met Michael, when we went to Wake Forest, great time, good guy.
It's questionable.
Stop it. He's diehard, man.
I know. I love Michael.
Come on.
I know.
He's calling into the green room while he's giving
he did go to Duke, though.
Kids bats.
He did.
Come on. That's dedication.
He's dedicated. He was in the green room today. So
even though he called me scumbag last, I'll let that slide.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying that's why we did this. So like when people call in, Matt, Mike, we talk to you guys. Like that's what we want to talk. I get sick of talking to Sean. Yeah. I want to talk to other people.
Me too.
I'm sure he gets sick of talking to me. So that's what we did it for, and like it's much appreciated, all you guys.
Yeah, appreciate the everything on the socials and getting in there and all that, and the fan feedback's huge. And I know the people who listen because you don't hear from them much directly in DM or email, but they're giving you buy seller holds, and that's like okay, well he must listen, and he's doing it right. Damn it!
Yes.
Freaking A! It only took 5 years to get this thing nailed down to where you guys understand what it means, and that's awesome. But look, it was 5 years, well worth it to get that going, and now everybody is kind of doing it. We get slung by seller holds randomly all the time. I love that stuff. And the show was designed for us to just be like sitting at a bar. That's why we drink beer while we do it. No matter what time of the day it is, it's true we would drink beer.
That's true.
So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
There's only been a couple times where
I'm not sure if I never did. I know that after the one you did not was after the Clemson win. That's the one you did not.
Bro, that night was nuts. That was nuts.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even think about a beer that next morning. But yeah, I mean, dude, that's what it is. It's we go through these games, preview, post game, and there's emotion there. It's just diehard fans. We're not in Syracuse. We can't go to the games. We can't be a part of it. So this is kind of like this is our thing. I mean, and when you get the Dungy years and you get these, when Buddy Boeheim and that team and they made a little Sweet 16 runs. I mean, that's why we do this, so we can experience these type of seasons, and hopefully this is another special one. So then, we can all experience it together, and it makes it feel like you're really not. I mean, even though we know we don't live in Syracuse no more, makes it feel like you're more of a part of it.
Yeah, and probably never will.
I enjoy the heck out of it.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. So with that said, it's time to sign off on a show that I thought was going to be easily an hour. Here we are, an hour and 15 minutes later, but that's fine. Look, really, again, I'll beat a dead horse. I'm fine. We appreciate all of you for joining in and hanging out. Please continue to do so. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out of here.
Peace.